Hey guys, how's it going? Today I have a very, very special guest. We have Produno. Am I saying that right? Produno?
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome. Nailed it. Also known as Marcus. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
No worries. So for those who don't know, this is the lead developer. Is that the right title or the developer?
Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
There we go.
That'll do.
Of A World of Ice and Fire, the very popular mod. Everyone loves it. So I think we'll start off. Just introduce yourself to us, and yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you've already done that, to be honest.
That's all right. Cheers.
Real name's Marcus. Produno online alias. And yeah, I'm the developer of A World of Ice and Fire.
Awesome. So I have to start off. How did this all start? Let's start from day one.
Well, I was watching Game of Thrones. I think I started watching it after season 3 had came out.
Okay.
And I think I'd done what most other people do, is go on Google, see if the Game of Thrones came about, and there wasn't actually. Well, there's a couple which weren't actually very good. So I then decided to look for mods. And at the time, I was quite big into playing Warband. I'd only recently bought a new PC.
Okay.
And started playing Warband. So I did see another modification, which some of you may have heard of, a Clash of Kings.
I'm sure I get asked that a lot.
Yeah,
it's probably my most asked question. What do you prefer, a Clash of Kings? I don't ask that. Just
yeah, I see that. I see that on Reddit quite a lot. So yeah, I started playing that, and there's a few things I didn't really like about it. So I decided to do some modifications myself. And I quickly got banned off the forums, off the Tower World forums. So I decided to create my own, and that's where it started, really.
Good start.
Yeah.
I remember playing a Clash of Kings so long ago. I didn't even know it was a Game of Thrones mod. I had no idea. I just saw this popular mod called a Clash of Kings, and I was playing it. And this is like before any of the textures, look like the show, where all of the Essos factions look like ancient Greece units, and I had no idea. So yeah, obviously I played a lot of that mod. It's been a massive part of the channel going back in the years. But I gotta say, since I left YouTube in late 2017, I was very burned out. Played a lot of Mount and Blade Warband, as you know, and Banlord just was never coming out. I was kind of hoping for the release of that so I could change into something, because I was just getting sick of playing it. I was getting sick of the mods. But playing A World of Ice and Fire, I remember playing it on stream, and I think that's when you popped in, and I had no idea who you were. I found a new love for Mount and Blade, and I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it's just some of the extra features from Viking Conquest, which I was actually going to ask in a bit. But I don't know what it is, man. But thank you, because you kind of brought my channel back. This mod has been massive. So how did you get into modding? How did that all start? Did you just Google it, or did you just have a natural ability to how to mod?
Well, I Googled most of it. I mean, there's a lot of tutorials on the Tower Wars forums, which I had followed. And, just play around with stuff and just mess around with things and see what works. That's pretty much what I've done. I didn't have much coding experience beforehand.
Okay.
I'd done a few, XBMC, which is now called Kodi. I'd done some stuff in that, but just with XML files. But other than that, that was about it.
Fair enough. I would love to know how to mod, but that's beyond me. It's just that's too much.
Yeah, if I could do it, then anyone can. So it's not that bad.
Sounds good. Is it just you who works on the mod, or do you have a team, or?
Coding wise, it's just me. Only I have access to the source files.
Okay.
A lot of the models have been created by Cragroom.
Okay. I have no idea who that is, but he's done a fantastic job.
He's a member on the Tower Wars forums. He has done a pretty good job on all the models. And I think 90% of them now are from him. There's been other help throughout development, like some people's done scenes, and people's just chipped in here and there where they can, try and help out. So it's been a community effort, I suppose, in some respects.
And you've done a good job. So I wanted to, before we get into anything else, would you mod anything else? Like, did you ever consider modding something else, or was that the sole reason because you wanted to play a better Game of Thrones mod? Is that what pushed you?
Yeah, pretty much. The only reason I started doing it was because of Game of Thrones, because I wanted to play a Game of Thrones related game.
Fair enough, yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have got into modding at all. And I mean, from that, I've moved into game dev at the moment. I've started creating my own game from scratch. And if it wasn't for this modification, I wouldn't have even thought about doing that.
Amazing. There we go. It was all meant to be. Because I actually got a question from one of my mods on my Discord server, and he asked, can you please ask him to make a good Lord of the Rings mod? I'm like,
yeah, well, this mod's taken over 5 years so far, so and a hell of a lot of time. So
yeah.
It's quite a dedication to create something like this. So
maybe when the new
easy.
Lord of the Rings show comes out, that could inspire you to try something else. There we go.
maybe. I do like Lord of the Rings, but I must say I do prefer Game of Thrones to Lord of the Rings.
Fair enough. Yeah. So let's talk about the mod. Obviously, this mod has some pretty awesome features. A lot of them are from the Viking Conquest. When did you start using Viking Conquest features, I should say? And I should say before I start, I haven't really played Viking Conquest, so I had no idea all these features were new.
Right. Okay. Well, the mod was based off Britain Wilder.
Right. Yeah.
Which a lot of people seem to think that Viking Conquest is the base for the mod, but it's not. Britain Wilder.
Right. Okay. Well, I should stop telling people that then. Sweet. All right.
Yeah. No, I just when Viking Conquest released the source code, I think I was actually speaking to Motto, who's one of the developers of Viking Conquest at the time, and he would told me that they're releasing the source files for it. So I took source files, and that's when I started adding stuff from Viking Conquest. And there's a lot of stuff in Viking Conquest that's been built upon from Britain Wilder. So some of it just transferred straight across.
Right.
So
okay.
It's quite easy in that respect. But most of it had to be intertwined with the current code and changed to fit the Song of Ice and Fire world. So it wasn't quite as easy just switching code over, but it was probably easier than if you was to take a native mod and then try and stick it in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I was talking about this the other day with a friend who recently just tried the mod. I never thought I'd actually find it interesting to rest. Actually having to rest my men, because I was playing a different mod the other night on stream, and I was actually just resting in the castle, and I didn't need to. I was like, oh, here we go. So it's just little things like that. I think it's just the realism features which I really enjoy the most. I do really enjoy them.
Yeah, that's it. I mean that's why I added them all, because it's something I enjoy as well. So
and it adds so much to the campaign. Like just
yeah.
And I didn't realize it until playing a different mod, and that's when I was like, oh, I actually kind of miss these little features. So
I mean, I do get a lot of complaints about them. And some of them you can turn off, and I think the biggest complaint is a wound system. But I quite enjoy the wound system, and I think it's an integral part of a Game of Thrones modification. If Jaime Lannister can get his hand chopped off, then why can't the player?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I have raged at some wounds, but but I fully understand it. Like, I remember fighting a wildling, and it was the last one out of a party of maybe 600. The last one wounds me with a bone axe. I'm like, how? I've got full plate.
I think that's part of the point. It kind of incites that anger for the player to try and do better, and to try and avenge people that's done that to him within the game.
100%, yeah, and I absolutely love it. Well, probably one of my other favorite features is being able to tick off stumbling, because I stumble all the time, and it's always at the worst times. And it's probably my least, obviously not to slack a Clash of Kings at all, but that's my least favorite feature, and it's the most frustrating thing. And anyone who watched my live streams recently would know I have said some very bad things. Anyway. What's your biggest struggle with modding? Like, what's your biggest setback?
Time, I suppose. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and it's every release that there seems to be a lot of bugs that creep in, and I think most of that was from I used to work shift work, So I'd work 12-hour shift, and then I'd come home from work, then I'd probably spend an hour or two on the mod. And in that time where you feel tired is when the most bugs creep in.
Yeah.
So you end up finding the more tired you are and the more you work on the mod, the more issues you get and the longer it takes when you release an update to fix those bugs. So that's probably the hardest thing.
Fair enough. Well, I was just about to ask, like, how much time do you roughly spend modding? But I guess that kind of answers it.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite features is the what's the best way to say it? Basically the unique troops that are assigned to certain settlements, like by far my favorite, the Kraken Guard.
Mm-hmm.
So what inspired you to add, like, custom units to certain settlements? Because I think by far, I said it's my favorite feature. It makes me want to take certain places out just so I can get those troops.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to do something a little bit different, give people incentive to take certain places within the map. Also, a lot of people have asked for the troop trees to be, slightly more unique.
Yeah.
And I think this is one good way of doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah,
that's it, I think, really.
Because I had, like, obviously I had not playing as like a northern character, stumbling across the Karstarks and then suddenly saying, wait, the Karstarks had their entire troop line. I was like, okay, this is sick. This is amazing. And I've got a lot of Karstark fans watching. They're a big fan of their troop line.
It's the problem with Warband is, there's a lot of houses in the Song of Ice and Fire, and a lot of people want all of them houses to be in it, and it's pretty much impossible to include all them houses with all the different troop trees and that. So I just kind of chose the best ones and put them in as separate. So the player can't necessarily get hold of all of them, but they can get hold of some of them.
Yeah.
So it just adds a bit more depth, I think, and more to the the Game of Thrones effect.
Definitely, yeah. If you could have it, would you have every single faction to have their own unique troop line, or?
I mean, yeah, if possible, yeah.
If
it would
possible.
be nice, but yeah.
That would be quite the pain, I can imagine.
It would be, yeah. I mean, a little bit unrealistic, but it would be nice.
And the thing I'm excited for is I've obviously stumbled across a few, like the Starks and the Karstarks and the Kraken Guard, but I know there's way more, and I don't even want to ask. I want to experience these brand new troops. So again, I think that's it. It's one of the coolest features.
I mean, there's a lot of people asking for the wiki to be updated, but there's part of me wants to update the wiki, but part of me likes it. I watch quite a few Let's Plays, and I enjoy it when people discover these new things. And I think putting everything on the wiki is takes that away a little bit.
Oh yeah, 100%. I like being. I can say that as a fan. I'm glad. Obviously, I could probably Google, the Queen's Guard. I think it is at Dragonstone.
Mm-hmm.
I've yet to know what they look like. And when I was making a custom troop the other night, I saw the armor. I was like, no, I don't even want to know what the armor looks like. I'm gonna wait. I will take Dragonstone and I'll see for myself. All right, let's talk about things that you would like to add to the mod, but you can't due to, like, obviously. So we're going to talk about the dragons because that's just as an example. If you could add a dragon, would you add a dragon?
Simple answer is yes. If I could, then I would. But
I'm just picturing like this giant steel dragon, pretending to be a horse.
There's. I mean, with Bannerlord, there's potential for these kind of things to be added. But I mean, it's not just a case of me adding it in code. You need someone to animate it. You need someone to create the models. You need someone to texture the models. There's a lot of work involved beyond 100%. Me just adding stuff within the code. So it's if I found someone that's willing to help do that kind of thing, then potentially for Bannerlord these things could happen. But with Warband, unfortunately, it can't.
And if the game ever comes out, so
yeah.
Well, since we're talking about Bannerlord, do you have plans to mod Bannerlord when it comes out? Or?
I released an update on my Patreon regarding issues recently because I'd been made redundant from my job last month. I think it was end of last month. So I basically put on Patreon, if I earn over a certain amount on there, then that'll allow me to carry on developing the modification.
Okay.
If that stays above that amount when Bannerlord comes out, then I will just transfer straight over to Bannerlord. So as long as that amount is above the set amount on Patreon, then 100% I'll be creating this mod for Bannerlord.
Awesome. And there'll be a link to the Patreon in the description as well for those wondering. Go give this man some money so we can make this awesome mod in Bannerlord in about 20 years when it comes out. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty excited for Bannerlord, to be honest. The stuff that's possible or will be possible in Bannerlord, as according to Warband, is pretty exciting for me. So
yeah, and I think it's nice to know that Tailworlds are aware how much obviously how much mods have sort of built their game in a way. So giving tools to modders to make their lives a little easier should be nice as well. It feels like a lifetime ago since I watched the map making tools and all that stuff, but
yeah,
it should be pretty exciting. That's like, obviously everyone's gonna play the base game Bannerlord for the first year, but after that, when all the big modders start doing their thing, I can't wait to see what all the mods that we're going to get. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and I think they said the modding code is C#, so there's a lot more people that can use C#. It's a lot, widely used, so that it should bring a lot more modders, a lot more quality modders as well to the game. So
I have no idea what that means, but I'm excited. So, all right, so I do have 100 questions, but we're not going to go through all of them. We're going to go through some of the best ones. I just want to say thanks to everyone who did pop down some questions in the last episode, but there's no way we can go through all these. Well, we probably could, but we'll be here for 6 hours. So
yeah.
While we look for questions, I will ask, what is the next big update?
The next big update, 5.0. There is a changelog on my forums, which I'll send you the link, which you can post in the video if you like.
Yeah, sure thing.
I update that all the time. Every time I add something or change something, I'll update it.
Awesome.
But I will be doing a update log video at some point soon on my channel. So keep an eye out for that, and that'll have more details. It's without going into too much detail. There's new scenes, new companions, new quests, new locations. There's a whole lot of new things coming 5.0, which could be a whole mod in itself, to be honest.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So, yeah, it should be good.
And I'll be making a series. I've already got like 2 whole storylines planned. It's going to be insane. I can't wait.
Good.
I was going to say I am looking forward to some more quests. I do enjoy seeing those White Walkers for the first time. Not going to lie. Oh, gave me goosebumps. And actually, I was going to talk about this a bit later, but damn, the White Walker invasion. That's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't know how you're meant to kill them if you don't change some of your troops to obsidian stuff, but man, I would love to give that a go one day. But that is a challenge.
Well, there is a new way to obtain obsidian in the new update. It's not going to be easy, but you will be able to outfit your troops with obsidian weapons, which should be pretty cool.
Oh my god!
And
I'm so excited.
I'm hoping to make the AI for the White Walkers a bit better as well. So hopefully taking and sacking castles and stuff should be possible.
I was going to say, because I could have watched some stuff. I could have watched some other Let's Plays about the White Walker invasion. I had zero idea of what it would be like. And I was thinking, would they be able to take castles out? Thank God they did. Thank God they couldn't. But that would be pretty devastating. Also, I wouldn't know how that would work. Obviously, going into a castle and then seeing a White Walker just like chilling in there.
Yeah, well, that's why they can't really be a faction. I mean, a lot of people ask for them to be a faction, but I don't think that'd be right to be a faction. But the same way they can sack villages, I could possibly make them sack castles in that same kind of way. So we'll see how we get on. I mean, I've not tried it yet. I've not started working on that part yet, but when I do, hopefully I'll be able to do something like that. So we'll see.
So it's a big maybe, and
yeah.
And if you own anything beyond the wall, I'm sorry to hear that, because your castles will be sacked.
Yeah.
They will be all burnt to crisp, or if they can even burn it. Anyway, you get the point. So obviously I'm no coder, but not being able to hit them with normal weapons is an awesome feature, because I have fought whites in obviously in Akasha Kings, where you just smack them enough and they do die. How did you do that? Obviously, if it's too complicated, don't ask. But I thought that was a really cool feature.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just a trigger on the mission templates. The trigger that only allows certain weapons to damage them. If it's a normal weapon, it will set the damage back to 0. So yeah, that's basically it.
There we go.
It took a while for me to get work in mind, but I think it works quite well now.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, because we did get some questions, obviously, but I think you kind of answered this before. Like, will there be options to equip your normal troops, without having to, edit the files or whatever to give them obsidian? But I recently made a tutorial of how to do it basically in obviously Morph's editor, which is very, very, very simple. But would there be a feature? Is that possible? Like a feature to give all your troops obsidian, or is that?
Well, the new feature I'm adding is I've not fully completed it yet, but there will be a way to it'll either be give your troops, your current troops, the weapons, or it'll be you can build a new troop tree. So we'll see what we decide on that. If anyone is on my Patreon, then we have our own Discord server. So in that, you can actually give me ideas, and we discuss this kind of thing in there. So it all depends what people suggest and what we take up.
There we go, and I will be joining that. I remember last time I went to go and donate to your Patreon, my card declined, so I was like, oh, and I've obviously forgotten since then. So I can get that sorted out. I will be in that Discord.
That's a good excuse.
Thanks, that was actually pretty good. All right, so I got a question here. Will you add more depth to Essos?
There is new locations going in for 5.0. I've seen a lot of questions regarding expanding the map, which is not really possible in this engine. I think the map is as big as it can get without causing a lot of issues. I mean, there's already a lot of crashes within the game, and this is due to the size of things and the size of textures and whatever else. So adding more is just going to make that worse.
Fair enough. Obviously, I have no idea how big maps can go, but the map is pretty damn large.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think about modding Jon Snow to be a usurper so he could help become the King of the North?
As in.
I don't know. I think they just want to know, like, could he become his own lord instead of like a companion to Mormont?
Well, he does eventually become the commander of the Night's Watch. So I mean, I suppose you could persuade him to go to war against the North.
Oh, really?
But that happens quite later on. So yeah, spoiler alert, by the way.
Oh, great! Right, that's it. Interview over. Series is cancelled. Anyway.
So yeah.
Do you know what time that happens then? Because I'm like turn 800. So.
It should happen at some point after the White Walker invasion.
Right. Okay.
There is a trigger for that to happen. I can't remember the specifics of why or when it should happen without looking it up. But I mean, there is plans to progress that quest line further, so we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. Because he was really fun to have as a companion, and he was quite impressive, especially in a very early game before, like when you're still wearing your crappy cloth and your rusty sword, and suddenly got this Jon Snow with Valyrian steel, and he's like, just God. I was like, I think in my series, like, surely that there's a way I can keep him. Surely there's a way I can keep him, and I almost lost him a few times because I went to do something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that was a suggestion from someone that's donated on Patreon. So there you go. People that donate on Patreon post suggestions, they do mostly get implemented.
There we go. I've got another question here saying, will you be adding the Telltale game Einrath and Foresters and House Forester? I think it's House Einrath and House Forester. I haven't played it, but I'm aware of their existence in the Telltale games. Have you ever thought about adding them to the North? This
has been asked quite a lot, and I'm still debating whether to add them or not. I have a lot of new locations and laws to add for 5.0, so they may end up in the mod. I'm not sure yet. It depends how much time I have. And I mean, I've not played the Telltale series anyway, so I don't know much about them.
That's
So
probably why then. Well, I mean,
yeah,
it's probably half the reason because obviously, I don't, like, are they actually a real? Are they a real house in the lore, or was it just made up for the game? I actually have no idea.
Well, I think they are now. I think Telltale's actually worked with GRRM to make that game.
Oh, okay.
So whatever's in that game, I think, is technically now canon. I think.
Well, there we go. Any plans to include quest lines to tie into the latest season of Game of Thrones? So I guess is there any quests that you've maybe thought of since the last? Obviously, the last season wasn't everyone's favorite, but maybe the last 2 seasons. Have you thought of any new quests or?
Not quest lines as such, but that's been a big motivation for the changes for the White Walkers and stuff. So yeah, not any specific quests as such, unless the main quest line gets advanced enough to that stage. But for now, probably not. It's just the current gameplay for the White Walkers and stuff.
Fair enough. So you're thinking maybe ice dragon, like a big ice dragon? Then it sounds good. Brilliant.
Yeah, dragons. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
But no, seriously, not no dragons. Can you ask them to update the Hound to be a companion? So this goes back to what I was saying, or when you asked about the Lord's companions. The Hound is actually a Lord's companion. So for me to enable stuff like that would be a lot of work. So that probably won't happen.
Because he's a companion to Joffrey, then, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Have you ever, obviously, since you've learned a lot about modding, have you ever thought about doing another Mount and Blade mod, or is all of your time focused on this?
I mean, yeah, all my time's focused on this, to be honest. It takes a lot of time to do what I've done and to carry on doing what I'm doing.
Just 5 years, yeah. Just
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, I just don't have time, to be honest. I mean, any spare time I do get is spent on my other game. So yeah, I just don't have time, to be honest.
When is the next big update coming out? Is it soon, or is it? Do you still have a lot of work to do?
There is still quite a lot of work to do, but I get to spend a lot more time on it now because obviously I'm not working. I'm living off what I get through Patreon, which allows me to devote a lot more time to the mod. So although there's a lot to do, it doesn't take me as long as it used to. So probably a couple of months. I mean, they're always saying game dev, the 90% of the game is in the last 10% of the game, which is still true for modification. So most of my time is spent bug fixing and allowing people to play test and stuff. So it all depends how long that takes, really.
Fair enough. In your eyes, how far away to obviously I think most mods will obviously keep getting updated and keep getting changed and stuff like that. But in your eyes, where do you see do you see the game getting finished soon? Or do you think you'll keep working on it? I think that's a really bad way to ask that, but I think you get it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. This again boils down to Patreon. As long as the amount is above enough for me to live on, to pay the bills, and I will carry on working on modification. I had planned for it to be finished already. So I mean, some people that's been following the mod for a while may remember about a year ago I'd said, no more features, just bug fixes now. We're gonna polish up and finish it.
Oh, really?
But since being made redundant and all these people are now supporting me on Patreon, I'm now carrying on with the modification and adding features and whatever else. So yeah, I mean, it will just carry on.
Well, there we go.
As long as people are donating. So
God bless Patreon. We love you all, every single one of you. You're making this possible. What is your favorite faction in the mod? If you could be a part of any faction, what would be your first choice?
People probably won't like it, but I would say the North. And I say people won't like it because it's a bit cliche, I suppose, but But I think the North is probably my favourite faction. It reminds me, I suppose, of the UK the most, to be honest, which is probably why I like them more than any other faction.
Fair enough, yeah. I would probably say the same. Obviously, originally from England, so I do love the North. But saying that though, I've got a lot of people will tell me off if I don't say this. Stennis Baratheon and Dragonstone as a faction has got to be tying for first for me. I think the Dragonstone troops are by far the best looking troops I've ever seen in any Mountblade mod.
Yeah, they do look cool. Yeah.
Their black armor and their black robes, I just ticks all the boxes.
If I had to choose a second faction, it would be Dragonstone, and then third probably the Stormlands.
Stormlands are awesome, yeah. Because I think that's the faction I joined in that first stream. I was like, this mod's sick. I remember I became a knight, and I did that trick where you go and get an enterprise, and you can steal all of the armor. I was like, hell yeah, I look like a badass now. That was quite proud of that moment. Well, I think we did answer quite a few questions. Down the line, maybe we could do one of these videos again. I would love to have another chat. Obviously, I wasn't too prepared for this, but I think we had a good time. We answered some big things. We had a chat. So any last words you want to say? Obviously, you have a YouTube channel. If you want to quickly talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I launched that a couple of months ago. It's mainly just to show updates and modification. I want to try and get a devlog out every month. So far, I've not managed that because I've been too busy, but hopefully from the end of this month, I'll be able to do that. I've also toyed with doing a few Let's Plays on there of various different games, which, depending on the feedback I get from that, I might do. And my other game I'm working on is in the Godot engine, which is a free open source engine. There's no royalties or anything like Unity or Unreal. So I'm debating about whether to do some tutorials on that as well. So, I mean, it depends what people suggest and, the kind of views I get on the kind of things I release on there. Also, to anyone that has supported me on Patreon, a massive thanks to you guys. And to you that don't, you should be thanking them as well because, the whole reason the mod is still being developed is because of them guys supporting me. So yeah, and thanks for watching.
All good, and you're welcome. Once I do become a patron, you're welcome. I will support if my card lets me. Don't do it this time. Anyway, thanks so much for being a part of this. It was actually really interesting to hear. Obviously, like the history of the mod and the future and just how things were done. It was super interesting. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of this mod, and I'm very thankful for this mod because it's made me kind of fall in love with the game Mount & Blade again, which I've rocked up 2,000 hours in and still manage to play every day. So there we go. Again,
That's
thanks
awesome.
thanks so much for joining. So for everyone watching, check out the Patreon, the YouTube channel. I'll check your Twitter in there. Anything else? I think that's all of them, isn't it? Or do you have
I think that's.
Do you have a Facebook? Do you have a Facebook? Or?
I have a private Facebook. But,
there we go. His private Facebook will be in the description as well, and his Snapchat. All right, there we go. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining, man, and have a good one.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you very much.